Welcome to the Coastal Lowcountry Real Estate Channel. Are you looking to move to the Georgia, South Carolina Lowcountry area and buy your next home? Do you have questions about things you need to consider prior to making such a large purchase? Things like, how much money do I need for my down payment? What kind of mortgage should I get? How about the location of the home or the schools? What about unexpected expenses after I move in? Well, whether this is your first home or your fifth or sixth home, today we're going to get answers to 15 frequently asked questions that you should ask prior to getting into that beautiful new home.
Welcome to the Georgia, South Carolina Lowcountry. We're Keith and Donna Hellman, hosts of the Coastal Lowcountry Real Estate Channel and local realtors with Keller Williams. Do you want to know everything there is to know about living in the Lowcountry? Whether it's Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, South Carolina, Bluffton, South Carolina, or the surrounding areas? Well, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so that you'll be the first to know what's going on in our market.
And we receive calls, emails, and texts every day from folks just like you looking to move to Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Savannah areas. And we absolutely love serving you.
So whether you're looking to move in the next week, the next month, or the next year, shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call, or schedule a Zoom call, all in the description below so that we can help make your move to the Lowcountry a smooth one. Hey, let's get started.
Hi there.
Hi. It's funny. We were helping this couple, first-time home buyers, the other day. And, as they're going through the process, they're asking a lot of great questions. Okay.
Yes.
We've been through this process, obviously, many times before. We pretty much know the answers to a lot of these questions. But if you're buying your first house, you have a lot of great questions that you have no idea about. Whether it's your first house, second house, third house,
Or 15th.
Yeah. These might be some great questions that somebody might want answers to as they're going through the process. So went out and Googled a couple of articles and what are frequently asked questions that you might want to ask when you're buying a house. So I came across this great Dave Ramsey article. We like Dave Ramsey.
Yes, we do.
His article was 15 questions you might want to ask when you're buying a house. So I thought, this would be a good time to possibly go over these 15 questions and possibly expound on some of the points he makes, as well as give our own slant to some of these as it applies to the Georgia, South Carolina Lowcountry area. So, what do you think?
I think it'll be very helpful for a lot of people out there.
All right. Well, let's get started on the first one. All right, first question.
Yes, the first question is that we hear many times is, what is my house budget?
Okay.
And it's a legitimate question.
Yes, it is. First thing we always encourage your buyer to do is to go out and get pre-approved for a mortgage. The lender will figure out how much money you can afford to spend on a house. So that is going to be your upper range as far as how much money you're going to be able to afford. That's a good starting point. When we do this, we always advise our buyers to get multiple quotes, at least get two so you can compare. Whatever real estate agent you're working with, they should have a list of lenders that they can pull from. We have a list of lenders that you can pull from that we've used in the past that, we feel very comfortable recommending.
We've used them many times.
Yes, exactly. But you're also welcome to use your own lender, somebody you're comfortable with. So get multiple quotes when you're trying to figure out how much money you can spend on a house. Okay, so that's going to be your upper limit.
I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Because I know also a lot of our clients do not want to be house poor.
Right.
So that's another reason that question is so important.
Exactly.
The lender may give you a top range as to what you can spend. However,
Exactly. And that's a great segue. So, like I said, that is your upper limit. Okay. So now you've got to figure out, how much do you want to spend on your mortgage? General rule of thumb, 25% of your monthly take-home pay can be paid towards your mortgage payment, your principal and interest, insurance, your taxes, that type of thing. Okay.
Yes, and you need to include all of that.
You need to include that.
Yes.
So if you have an HOA, you got to include that in there too. It's a monthly expense. So 25% is the rule of thumb. With today's interest rates, I've heard other people say, it can go up to 30%. But it also depends on the buyer's lifestyle. Some, like you said, you don't want to be house poor, so you can't do anything but sit at the house and stare at each other. Maybe some people are comfortable with that, but I think most people like to go out and, have a good time, eat at a restaurant, and get out of the house every now and then. So 25-30% is generally what they recommend. You also want to have money for emergencies too. So even if you do like sitting at the house looking at each other,
there might be an emergency every once in a while. You're tired of looking at that other person.
Exactly. So that's where we would recommend. All right. I think we talked a little bit about that one. What's next?
Check.
Yeah.
Next question is, people are asking, how much do I save for a down payment?
That's a good question. And, I hate to say this, but sometimes it depends. Okay. There's a lot of different loan products out there. We did a video on that, so you can check that out.
Check it out. That's right.
So some of these loan products you could put down as little as zero. VA loans, USDA loans, 100% financing. Okay. Others like FHA loans, you could put 3 to 5%. Conventional loans, you could do 5%, but you also get into additional fees like PMI and things like that, which is part of your monthly mortgage payment. PMI, by the way, is private mortgage insurance. Okay, so that's an additional amount that's tacked on to your loan monthly mortgage payment. So a lot of things to consider. You can discuss these with the lender. Dealing with a realtor, we help our clients
answer all your questions as best we can.
We help our clients, go through that process, because you got to take into consideration, you're not only talking about down payment, you got to come up with closing costs possibly. Dave Ramsey in the article recommends that we pay 100% cash for all our homes.
In a perfect world.
Yeah.
Of course, there are people that do pay cash.
Exactly. He also recommends that you do a 15-year mortgage over a 30-year mortgage.
Yes.
But that's going to increase your monthly mortgage payment. Can't really give you a solid answer on this. The answer is it depends. You should have a good realtor and a good lender to be able to walk you through that process. So
that's right. Wink, wink. The next question is, how much are my closing costs?
Okay, another good question. Okay.
Yes.
So, general rule of thumb, closing costs can be anywhere from 2 to 5% of the house that you're purchasing. So, if you're purchasing a $300,000 house, that can be anywhere between $6,000 to $15,000, okay, for your closing costs. Okay, so
you have to be prepared for that.
You
right?
do have to be prepared. As I mentioned previously, the closing costs are on top of your down payment. So, you're going to have to pull all that together as you're preparing to buy this house. Now, it obviously, as I mentioned before, is a good idea to get quotes from multiple lenders, because closing costs can be different from lender to lender. Whenever you get a quote from a lender, he or she is going to give you a estimate of closing costs. They should give you that estimate of closing costs. So you need that sheet in order to be able to compare to see how much money you're going to have to come up with for closing costs. So
that there aren't any surprises.
Exactly. And now it is just an estimate. As you get closer to closing, those numbers will be tied down. But it shouldn't be dramatically different from when they initially told you about the loan. Or if they are, they need to provide an explanation. 2 to 5% is generally a good estimate for closing costs. Okay, we're at number 4.
Next question is, how much should I save up for moving expenses?
See, that's another thing a lot of people don't factor into when they're looking to move, okay? If you're just out of college, you got a couple of college buddies who will move you for pizza and beer, that's that's pretty good. But most of us have a truckload of stuff that we need to move out of the house. So I would get a couple of quotes as far as moving expenses. It also depends, how far are you moving? Are you just moving 5 miles down the road from your previous place, apartment or home? Or you're moving out of town. I mean, your moving expenses can be significant.
They?
And you can also mitigate some of those moving expenses by, I know when we moved out of our house in Atlanta from one to the other, we were only about 10 miles, 5 miles from our previous home. So we took all the little stuff and let the movers pack all the big stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So we saved on moving expenses that way. Your realtor should be able to give you a list of movers or recommend movers that they've used in the past that can help you through this process. So,
and get several quotes and ask some very good detailed questions.
Exactly.
How do they pack up your things? And because, of course, those are some very valuable special items and you want them to do a good job.
Right, right. Oh, and by the way, you're going to do a video, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. We're going to be doing, and we're actually working on it right now, so we should be getting it out real soon, about moving hacks.
Yeah. What do you do to get everything ready to move? So that'll be one of our upcoming videos.
Movie too.
All right, so I'm going to ask you number 5.
Okay.
The question is how will I decorate my house once I get there?
That is also a very good question, because everyone gets very excited and they want to decorate their homes right away.
Right.
Fix their little nest, right? Well, the best rule of thumb, and according to Dave Ramsey too, is that you do it slowly. Live in your home. Of course, the main things that you need to be the main things. However, pay cash. Do not use credit cards.
Right.
And thrift stores actually are a great place to go, depending on the area. I know here in Savannah and Hilton Head's nearby, there are a lot of fun thrift stores, and you can find some wonderful pieces of furniture. They suggest, and Dave Ramsey suggests, that you decorate perhaps one room at a time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, do you remember when we first moved into our first house, we had no dining room furniture.
Nothing.
So the dining room was pretty much a dance floor, so that's pretty much what we used it for. So just do this gradually.
That's right. We ended up with a card table there for a while as our dining table, and that was fine.
That was fine for them. So, all right, what's next?
Well, people would like to know about the location. What is that location all about?
Yeah, so when you're buying a house, that's one of the things you need to consider is the location. So you need to consider things like, how far is it from my work? Okay, am I okay with that commute? How far is it from schools? If you have kids, or if you're going to have kids, what schools are you going to put them in? As far as that, is that, do they have buses that'll pick up your kids, or are you going to have to drop them off at school? How far is it from friends and family? Obviously, you want to be able to get together with your friends and family, especially if you have mom and dad around. You might want, some babysitters when you go out.
There you go.
So, and you also want to look at, as far as the location of the property, you want to look at the property values in that area. Okay, so a realtor should be able to give you an idea as to what are the property values in that neighborhood. Okay, and so you get a good idea of our property values going up, going down. One of the things we always encourage our clients to do is, before they buy a house, is what?
Drive around a little bit and get a feel for things.
Yeah, drive through the neighborhood.
Choose a weekend and drive around that community, and then perhaps one day after work, drive around that same community and get a feel for things.
Yeah, just so to see could I live here in this neighborhood, Is it a good location? Are there families out and about that I get to know?
Meet the kids at the playground and have some fun.
Right. Those are some of the things you want to consider when you're picking out a location for your next home. We're just about halfway done, so we got number 7 here. So what's this question?
A lot of people ask, what are the schools like?
Okay. Now that is something we could get in trouble for. Okay. Yeah.
We have to be careful.
We cannot steer clients as to, by saying, these are great schools. That's one of those things we could get in trouble for. So what do we usually do? We usually refer them to a website.
Yes, it's called greatschools.org, and they show progress reports. They actually give a lot of information about that school. You can also go by, and we've told our clients this, go by and visit the different schools in the area and get a feel for that too. You can always make an appointment and talk with them.
Yeah. So you want to also make sure that the schools that you want are in the school district that you're buying a house.
So another important reason to call the schools and make sure that the home that you're buying is in that school district that perhaps you're interested in for your child.
Right. So sometimes they redraw these school districts. So
yes, they do.
And you also got to consider: do I want to put my kids in public school? Do I want to put them in private school? But these are considerations. These are things to consider when you're buying a house that maybe you don't consider. You don't even think about. Mamas always think about this stuff, but the dads may not. So, all right, what's our next point?
They're also asking, is this area prone to natural disasters?
Whoa, nobody likes to hear about that.
I know.
But it is something you need to consider. I mean, down in this area, we're in the low country. We're near the ocean. So things we do periodically, unfortunately, we do get hurricanes circling off the coast there. So, if you're going to buy a house, one of the things when you buy this house you need to consider is, do I need protection from the occasional hurricane that might come through? So you're going to need insurance for flood. You're going to need insurance for wind and water. Those are the things you need to consider. Every area you live is going to have could have a natural disaster. Yeah.
Or occurrence.
Yes. So those need to be factored in. You need to protect your house. So those are additional costs that you're going to need to incur. Down here, a lot of the houses are in floodplains. So it doesn't mean that you can't live here. It just means that you have to have insurance to cover in the event the area floods. Okay. So,
and then there are many areas that do not require flood insurance.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. So it is something to consider. Working with your realtor, they can help you find good insurance companies that they can recommend to you so that you can maybe compare quotes on what your insurance will be to cover such things like this. All right, number 9.
Yes, the next question is, do we have any problems with this house?
Another good question to ask, okay? So that's one of the reasons we always recommend getting a home inspection.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, everything was so crazy. There were people out there that were not getting home inspections. In Georgia, we have a due diligence period at which point you can get a home inspection and you can identify problems with the house.
Yes,
okay, people
very
were
important.
waiving the due diligence period as well as a home inspection, unless you know exactly what's going on in that house.
Eagle
Contractor,
eyes.
yeah. Unless you're a contractor, or something like that, and you have expertise in that area. I would never recommend waiving the home inspection. I said, we've been doing this for a long time. We would never buy a house without a home inspection. We are not experts in that. So I would definitely recommend getting a home inspection. This will identify problems with the house. Things that you need to look for. A lot of times we say, when you're getting a home inspection, you're concerned with 3 things: safety, systems, and structure, okay? So these are the things that can run into some money, okay? And your home inspection will point those out. Structure, so something wrong with the foundation of the house, something wrong with the roof of the house, okay? Systems, HVAC, that's always a common question. How old's the HVAC? Does it need to be replaced? Is it working, okay? Safety, electrical. A lot of times when the home inspection is being done, you'll see electrical outlets that aren't grounded. You don't have the proper grounding near water, that type of thing. So safety issues. These are things that need to be corrected. Once they're identified in a home inspection, at that point, you'll negotiate with the seller. Do I want to get these things fixed? Do I want compensation for something like this?
Yes.
So this is a part of the process of determining whether or not there's problems with the house and how do we rectify this before you get in, okay?
And we have a good list of good inspectors.
Yep. That you can choose from. So another one that you want to consider, especially down here, is termites. We have termites in this area. I would always recommend, at the minimum, getting a termite clearance letter.
Yes.
If you can, put a termite bond in place. It's just good insurance if these little critters get into your house and start eating you out of house and home. So they're worse than teenagers. So that's how you mitigate, trying to find out, or you identify and mitigate problems with the home. So
that's right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Where are we now?
Well, we're going to combine question 10 and 11.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And what are they?
How old is the roof, and how old are the appliances?
Okay. Yeah. So roofing. Okay. So generally, they can put 30-year shingles on a roof. Okay. But most roofing experts say that once the roof exceeds 20 years, it's getting close to the time where you're going to need to replace the roof, okay? So that's something that you need to consider when you're buying a house. That could lead to costly expense that you didn't budget for right after you bought the house.
You don't want any surprises.
No, you at least want to be able to budget for that. So you're talking $15,000, $20,000 that you may have to pay, okay, in order to get that roof repaired. Another thing to consider is when you're buying the house, sometimes insurance companies will not cover the cost of your roof if your roof is so many years old. So you get a house that's 25 years, with the roof that's 25 years old, insurance companies may say, no, we'll insure everything else, but we're not insuring your roof.
Yeah.
So we've run into that before. As far as how old the appliances are, that's something we kind of talked about a little bit in the last. Old HVACs. I mean, you want to look at, the refrigerators, if they're included in the house. You want to look at how old those are, whether they're outdated or whether they work. Microwave stoves, those types of things. But those things can be replaced, and they're not as expensive as replacing a whole HVAC unit. Okay.
True.
Something that you might want to consider is getting a home warranty. Okay.
Yes, that is very helpful.
This is another thing that your real estate agent can help you with. They have a list of home warranty companies you can pull from that might help mitigate some of the cost of replacing some of these old appliances. Yes. So they just cover appliances. They do not cover things like the roof. But it's just primarily appliances. Okay, what's one more thing we need to think about when we're buying a house?
Yes. Our clients ask, what is included in the house when I buy?
Oh, okay. So in Georgia, and I think South Carolina, I know as well, there's a seller's disclosure form that is filled out, okay?
Yes.
The very last page of that seller's disclosure form lists a bunch of items that are included with the house, okay? Mm-hmm. So that will identify what is included with the house when you buy it. So are Ring doorbells included with the house? Is the refrigerator included with the house? Is a stove included with the house? These are the types of things that you want to pay careful attention to so that you know what you're getting when you buy the house. Now, does that say that these things are carved in stone? Okay? Let's say the seller says, no, I'm taking the refrigerator with me. We can negotiate that. We can put that in our offer, and we can say, we would love to buy this house, but we want you to include the refrigerator.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that refrigerator. I want that refrigerator.
Exactly. Well, I like that or a convection oven. I like that convection oven. I want that to be included with the house. So we can negotiate things like that.
And also to avoid surprises, sometimes buyers will go in and fall in love with that chandelier.
Right.
That's in the dining room.
Right.
And then they go to buy the house and surprise, the chandelier is gone.
Right.
So it's very important to have that disclosure.
Yep.
Right up front.
Exactly. To include it in the offer if it's not included in the seller's disclosure list. We're getting to the end of our list here. Lucky number 13. What are they asking?
Yes, they are asking, what are the other homes selling for in this subdivision or community?
Yeah, absolutely. So prior to buying a house, you want to know what are the other houses in the neighborhood selling for so you can put it in a good offer. Okay.
Yes.
So your real estate agent should be able to provide a comparative market analysis, otherwise known as a CMA. Okay.
That's right.
So that should give you an idea as to what other houses are sold for in the neighborhood. And so with that information, you're able to make a good offer on the house as far as what you think this house is worth compared to other houses that are sold in the area. This is also important because if you're going to get an appraisal on the house as you're going for the loan, okay, you want it to be able to appraise, okay?
Yes.
So you want to be able to, the price of the house you're buying needs to be comparable to those that are sold in the area and make sure it appraises. Otherwise, you might be out of pocket for the difference between the appraisal and the selling price.
Again, do not want any big surprises.
Right. All right, number 14.
The next question is, what is the reason they're selling this house? We have clients ask that.
Yeah. If you can get that information, it's generally ask the listing agent. Okay, can you give us any information about why they're selling the house? Mm-hmm. This can be helpful in formulating an offer. Okay, if you know that they're moving to another city in 30 days, they want to be unburdened with this house, and they want to be in that new city for a new job or whatever. Yes. Okay, you might have a little bit more negotiation as far as the sales price. If they want a quick close, get out of there, you might be able to negotiate on several items. If they're moving to another city for another job, they may not want to lug that washing machine and dryer that they just bought all the way up to their new location. So you might be able to get that included in the house. So these are the types of things that you want to, if you can. Now the listing agent is not under any obligation to tell you why they're selling the house. Okay, your realtor should be able to at least ask and hopefully get some feedback onto why they're selling a house to help in the negotiation of buying that house. Okay?
Researching is part of it.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Last one.
Yes, Keith. So they also want to know, how many days has this house been on the market?
Yes, good. Another good question. Another point that you might be able to negotiate. When we're listing a house, we always like to say within the first couple of weeks, you will know whether or not you got the right price on that house. Okay.
It speaks to you. It really does tell you.
Market will tell you. Okay. Yeah. If you've got that house price too high when you're selling the house, then it may sit there a little bit longer. So generally within 2 weeks in this market, you'll be able to find that out. So from the buying side, if the house has been sitting on the market for 30 days, 3 weeks, something like that, it probably means that they priced the house too high, or there's something else wrong with the house.
Yes, there's some good reason that it's been sitting there a while.
Especially in this market. We've got a seller's market. Houses are moving pretty quickly, as everybody knows. If it's priced right, it should move pretty quickly, okay? Right. Unless there's something wrong with the house. So knowing the number of days it's been sitting on the market is a good indicator as to whether or not you have any room for negotiation when you're coming in and making an offer on that house.
So there you have it. The top 15 questions that clients ask, and they're very important.
Yes, and if you're going to buy a house, we recommend that you ask these questions, when you go in. The article concludes with, we've asked these questions, where do we find the answers? And we've alluded to this throughout the discussion. You find these answers through using a top-notch real estate agent. So I hope this has been helpful. And if we can help you find your house here in the Georgia, South Carolina Lowcountry area, shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call, or book a Zoom call, all in the description below. And again, this is Keith and Donna Hellman, hosts of the Coastal Lowcountry Real Estate Channel and Local Realtors, and it has been an absolute pleasure spending time with you again today.
Yes.